Welcome to day 4 of this Kickstarting Kinesiology. Welcome. I'm hoping you've been excited listening to all the information this week. We've got an hour to go. Enjoy. How's your brain feeling, Joanne?
Oh, good. Yeah, stimulated. Probably, I don't know what time you finished it, but
I know you were there for the beginning of all of that. I know
I
I
was
went a
there
bit
for a lot of it.
overtime.
Yeah.
And so, that was sort of funny to me because I could see the look on his face. I could see that he was not enjoying that. And and afterwards he said to me, could you see it? He said, he was wanting to go, get out of my space.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I tried the Brazilian foot technique.
Yes.
So that was interesting because I tried on 3 people, and then with my daughter, it was the pulse came through quicker and stronger in one foot than the other.
Oh,
Is
how
that unusual?
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, no, we think our body is symmetrical, but it's really not. So that's really fascinating to me because, we can absolutely have better blood supply in different areas of the body. And, how the lymphatic system is asymmetrical. Like you've heard that concept where, it's the heart, it's the left arm, it's the head. And with the legs, you would imagine they would be even, but because so much of it is asymmetrical, nothing surprises me. And because we've got one dominant foot as well, so we will have a dominant foot that is designed, to be that stronger one, getting down into the pool, getting up the stairs. One of the feet will always be stronger than the others.
Although she's 13, teenager, and just going through this whole I don't know, teenager stage.
Oh yeah.
So I actually thought she probably would have benefited the most, but I think I got to about the 3rd or 4th toe and she was over it. Do you know what I mean?
It's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, but my husband, he went into a deep sleep on the couch. He was really relaxed.
Oh, wonderful. Nice.
Yeah. It's interesting.
It is.
I
remember when I had it done on me, literally, it was so long ago. It's probably 30 years ago. And I just remember that feeling of the toe moving. And it's like, really? Did the toe move with anyone?
So with my husband, I actually found it hard because bigger feet.
Oh, yeah, right.
And I was wondering whether I should be you know what I mean? Kind of almost doing that.
Oh, doing one foot at a time.
Because I should have 2 fingers on the top, right? Right on the top, not the pads off. Yeah. So
we're talking about the Brazilian toe massage, Denise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So your question was, no, I just found with him the pulses took longer to come through.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, with my son it was quite quick. Yeah.
And by the way, some people don't feel pulses. When I was first studying, there was a woman who was a doctor, and maybe that was blocking it, because you can imagine doctors are taught and they've got a certain way of thinking. This woman was a doctor and she'd been doing kinesiology for maybe 3 years, so maybe twice as long as I had been at the time. And she just did not have the belief that any area could pulse. So her belief system was these pulses work, all the classic ones we're taught to check to see if someone's dead. So because her belief was that we don't feel it, she could never feel pulsing. And it was one of those things, she would simply just hold the point, for 30 seconds or a minute or something, or until she felt the sigh or the yawn or something from the client on the table to give her a bit of an idea that the energy had shifted.
So does that mean that the pulse is coming from them or me? Do you know what I mean?
No. Well, sometimes I will double check it. So if I know I've had 3 coffees and I haven't drank enough water and I've been running on adrenaline all day, then I can think, gee, is this I have actually done that in the past where I've gone, is this me or is that them? So I've taken my hand off and then I've put it back on again just to sort of see whether or not and then what I'm asking the brain when I'm getting the pulse, especially if it's like a fast pulse, to me that's a bit of a sign of adrenaline. So even if something's pulsing, you want it to be calm.
Right.
You actually want it to be a calmer pulse. So if it's going boom, 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 there's still stress in there. We want that to be calm. We want it to be a nice little gentle, even pulse. So then it doesn't matter whether it's you or them, by the way. So that's just a little cheat, because then if you're consciously going, okay, we need this to calm down. And I'll often say that to clients. I'll say there's a bit of adrenaline in there. Let's just calm that down. And whether it's them with their breath, me with my breath, it all seems to, because our breath, because we know our energy is going to affect their energy.
Yeah.
So one of my clients one of my practitioner friends, he actually refused to do Reiki on people. He was a Reiki master. And because he was so connected to his trauma and his grief from the past, he really didn't want to be passing any of that on to his clients. So he would do straight kinesiology. And even when like if I was being treated by him, he would actually, he'd almost refuse to hold emotional stress release points. He would move away from the body when he was asking us to access a trauma. He would say, tell me what you think about this, or access, sort of tell me about the first time you felt this. And I would actually put my own hand on my forehead. So if I went into freeze because my brain couldn't come up with the solution for something, to me that means that my brain isn't working. You can flog a dead horse, it's sort of like, well, what's the point of me just lying on the table? He's a practitioner. I've got to say it, he's a practitioner. He should have had the emotional stress release points or the ESRs on there in order to help to, get that blood to the frontal brain so that we can think. When your client can't think of anything, their brain is jammed.
So with that, once you start opening and you keep doing those, because I notice since practicing all this stuff, I feel quite scattered.
Interesting.
I feel that I feel like it's just thrown me apart instead of bring me back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, and then trying to move through the work that I've been doing, it's like I've just lost it, just feel scattered with it.
Oh, and how interesting.
Stuff. And so what is that then?
So that could be your celestial circuit. So remember we were talking about the center of gravity, because that's what you're saying, you feel scattered. So when your celestial circuit's going walkabout, so your center of gravity is not in that dunty end 2 inches below your belly button. So if it's not there, your brain may be too much in the caring zone on your left or too much in the masculine doing on the right. But either way, if we're not centered, that can mean our chakras are over here, our auras are all out of position, our nervous system isn't feeding our body, mind, soul. So so I'd be thinking celestial circuit first, making sure we're doing those brain buttons whenever we can, just getting them up and running. But you've got to get yourself, like, to me, that's what it sounds like, Denise. You've got to get yourself back into your center. Chuck in our little kinesiology pod, it'll be interesting to see him over the next few days. He's just had a big operation. So remember we were talking about anesthetics the other day. So once we start doing anything that's getting conscious thinking going, traumas can be in the background going, what are you doing to me? What are you doing to me? And Moro reflexes can do that too. Have you been doing the Moro?
I did 2 of them yesterday.
Yeah, right. Because the Moro reflex does not want to be found. It's like a little alien in your brain that does not want to be taken away.
There you go. So what you've actually done in the last few days is undoing me.
Yeah. Isn't that great? But feel the power of it. Feel the power of it. For you to actually feel like that with some of these really lovely, simple little techniques. I'll tell you a story about the Moro reflex. My good friend Linda from New Zealand, so her and I have studied together forever. She's in all my stories. So the first time we learned the Moro reflex, I think that was after the second leap course over in Perth about, 15, 20 years ago, something like that. So so we'd learned about the Moro reflex. She'd gone home to New Zealand. She'd continued doing it, and that was all good and fine. And then coming up to the third course, she'd done it for about 6 weeks and thought that she had fixed it, because we had not been told how long you had to do it or what you had to do. So we came back to the leap 3 after a couple of months, and Janet Taylor, the teacher, said, no, you'll have to do it for like a year. If you've got a really discombobulated Moro reflex, this isn't weeks. It's not months, this can be a long time. There's millions of neurons we're trying to connect, millions and millions. And just about every single stress in your life may have been connected to that Moro reflex.
Yeah.
So when you do that exercise, Denise, your little nervous system that's been keeping you in your safe, easy little pocket your whole life is going, oh, what's she doing? Don't let me out. I don't want to be released.
Yes.
So, absolutely. So what ended up happening was on the second day, Linda did the Moro exercise again. She hadn't done it in however long. And man, she wanted to kill me. So we sort of, because I'm me. So I'm up in the morning and I'm gas bagging and chatting and, doing my usual things. She's sort of cooking us up a brekkie because, she's the health nut, hilariously. So she was cooking us up a breakfast. I'm chatting away and she just wanted to stab me in the head with a knife, and so and then we sort of had to travel to the course and we got there after like half an hour or something. And by that stage, she was just a total mess. By the time we got to morning tea, she had no idea what had happened, but she actually went out to the bathroom and she started crying and she had been heaving sobs because we didn't know. We did not know the power of doing that exercise at the time. And because whereas she didn't even think about doing all the stuff we know now. We didn't have the celestial circuit to help to bring us back into balance at the time. Those little things like where is it in your nervous system that's gone out of balance? So the brain buttons are going to help. The celestial circuit's going to help. Just pulsing those little brokers, Wernicke's, integrated points that we chatted about yesterday's, that will help bring you back in. Okay. So everything you do that helps to bring you back to center is going to support your body not wanting to run away from it. It is a nasty little alien that wants to be in your brain forever.
Yeah.
It does not want to be released, and it will sabotage you.
Yeah, it's like the simplest of things today. It's like, oh my gosh, I didn't even want to get out of bed. It's like it just felt too hard. And I was saying to hubby, I said, I just feel really out of whack. Yeah. Really, as though I don't feel centered. I don't feel planted. Yeah.
And Jackie Mooney teaches LEAP, the whole LEAP course, and she teaches all the primitive reflexes. And I think Josie Toussaint, she also she also teaches a big amount of primitive reflex stuff. And
names again?
Jackie Mooney. That's JACQUE. Jackie Mooney. She's got some online courses. And Josie Toussaint, which is TOUSSAINT. Josie Toussaint. So there's something coming up in June or July. I think there's some expert coming to Australia, and she's got him for don't know whether it's a freebie or a small cost, for a masterclass. But so the primitive reflexes stuff, because they're in that unconscious brain, they're all about survival. They're all about survival.
But that would also make me feel nauseous.
Well, nausea is about the liver. Okay. And the liver has to detoxify all of those major hormones that you've started releasing. If that has happened, then absolutely. So, I hadn't thought of that, but how many people do feel nauseous when they're stressed? So because cortisol, when we're stressed, we release cortisol. If cortisol isn't gotten rid of by the body, then your liver releases a substance called fibrin. And fibrin is an acute phase protein that makes sticky substances in your bloodstream. Okay. So it's so it looks like spider web. Let me see if I can show a picture of it, because it's pretty funky, the old fibrin. I sort of love it. But I love it because doctors, if fibrin shows up, what their one answer is, that we're all alcoholics, because they don't have any other answers for the liver, because, that's their one go-to. So see that? Yeah. So basically that substance there is fibrin. It's sticky. And if it lays down on your capillary walls, your capillary bed, nutrients can be going through your capillaries and just not be getting anywhere. And the main thing that activates fibrin, besides alcohol, is fear. Because fibrin is a fear hormone. It's all about clotting your bloodstream. So fibrin is, you know, I love it because I look at it, you know, I do live blood screening, and, you know, so when you've got fibrin around the place, it's just clotting all your little red blood cells. It's making it harder for nutrition to get in and nutrition to get out. Cool, eh?
So just keep doing the Moro and just all the points.
Oh, yeah, you don't, like, if it's activated you so quickly, that tells me, yes, you have a retained Moro reflex. So, but you will be one of those people who needs to do more of the brain buttons every day, you know, to bring yourself back into balance. Just make yourself a little 5-minute, you know, process to do morning and night or something like that. But yeah, with your liver, because the liver, you know, that nausea, because it's so awful feeling nauseous. So when we're stressed, and this comes down to the parasympathetic nervous system again. So the sympathetic, parasympathetic, remember we've sort of chatted about those the last few days. Let me have a look. So think about what's going on when we've got nausea, you know. So we've got one side of the sympathetic nervous system which stimulates peristalsis and secretion from your gut. The other one inhibits it. So if your stomach is being inhibited because of stress, your liver's going to end up overworking.
Okay. Because
you're not going to be digesting stuff in your stomach. So by the time it gets down through into the small intestines, your pancreas is going to have to overwork and your liver's going to have to overwork. But that constriction in the stomach that stops your body from releasing digestive function. So the sympathetic nervous system, when it's hyperactive, it switches off rest and digest. How have you been sleeping?
I sleep really well. Okay, I get up and go to the loo once during the night maybe, but other than that, quite heavy. It's like, yeah.
Okay, cool. Because the other thing that I was going to chat about, I was sort of grabbed a few new little things this morning. And how's your body feeling? Because I was sort of thinking about the whole muscles being too tight and too relaxed this morning, you know, and once again, a hyperactive sympathetic nervous system leads to hypertonia. So the muscles can be too tight around the body.
Yeah.
And when our body is trying to avoid us being damaged, so it's saying, no, don't you let go of the Moro reflex. Don't you dare do that.
Yeah.
And it's going to be energetically, your body's gone into, you know.
Flight. Yeah, flight.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So therefore, you'll have muscles that are just feeling a bit weird at the moment while your body's trying to do that exercise to bring you back into balance. The part of your brain that's going, no, don't do this to me.
Okay, there you go.
Have you done the Moro reflex yet, Joanne?
She's not gonna now, is she?
Sorry, also, I actually haven't tried it yet.
Yep. Yeah,
no,
so
I haven't.
What I was going to say was when Jackie Mooney, she was learning to be a leap teacher like 20 years ago, and I was doing an update of the primitive reflexes. And on that day, actually, no, I think she was still a student at the time with me, whatever. But basically, it was funny because at the beginning of the day, the teacher, and maybe it was Charles Krebs, I can't remember, but whoever the teacher was got everyone to practice activating the Moro reflex. So getting someone to fall back into the arms, you know, so that their little arms, the skippy arm thing. And after lunch, the amount of irritation and irritability in the room was palpable.
Yes.
Because it's taking our boundaries down. Our barriers start to disappear because the nervous system's going, I don't know what's going on, but I know I'm not safe. I know I'm not grounded. I don't know where I need to be in time and space, but this isn't it. So it was really, so after a couple of years, they decided they were never going to activate people's Moros again until they had the tools to balance them down. Which, by the way, down the track was, you know, it's about that brain integration. So the more little brain integration, cool stuff we have up our sleeve, the better. But what I was going to touch on today as well was the chakras. You know, so sort of get in there and sort of just go, okay, well, how do we get our chakras up and running? In the same way we can work with the Brazilian toe massage to get all our little meridians working. You know, we can also use just those, well, actually, yeah, the major 7 chakras and just help to bring them back into balance.
So would you do the same? Just put your hand on your...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And because you are stressed, because your nervous system is stressed, you might not be stressed, but your nervous system is. Even just holding, checking your emotional stress release points at the same time as checking a chakra, just to sort of see, is that impacting on that? So can you girls do self-muscle testing? Have you girls got some? So so my favorite, that's my favorite one, so lock it and unlock. That is 100%. Just like, I'll make myself bigger. The reason this is my favorite, gives me a lock, gives me an unlock, gives me a lock, gives me an unlock. That is my favorite. You can see how much energy I'm using in my forearm. I really don't like, for me, I know people who use this one, and if that one works for you, awesome. But I prefer this one because I feel like I can't dummy it up. And that's just me. It's probably my brother and cousin being doctors and just trying to make sure I double check myself all the darn time. But, so that is my favorite one. I'm sort of using, the middle two fingers to sort of really, try to get that to lock and unlock. So then when I'm sort of doing it, so you could just hold your chakra for a sec and then sort of see if it unlocks. Hold a chakra and see if it unlocks. So that way, and sort of just have a look, just hold it for a sec. So what we're doing is saying, okay, energy, are you out of balance? And if it unlocks, then it might be something, to just, hold there for a sec. And you can just let it bounce. Sometimes if you hold it just above the chakra, you'll start to feel a little bounce there. Yeah.
So when you ask the question, you say unlock. So is my chakra balanced? Is that what you're asking? So if my chakra's balanced, because usually when I do mine, yes is unlocking.
You can do it whichever way works for you, Denise.
Yeah.
So no, you don't need to change that. Absolutely, you do. And really, it's as long as you've got it set up in your head at the beginning of the questions. So no, that is totally up to the individual testee. Actually, when I was at a course about 28 years ago, it was a hypertonic course, and there were a couple of German girls in there, and they were really lovely women, but they had very strong confidence. So if they just felt someone was doing something wrong, they would absolutely tell them. And so I remember doing my little muscle testing, and I remembered this one particular woman saying, you're doing that wrong. And I'd been doing it like that for 1.5 years because of my training. She totally discombobulated my confidence, after that. So and this is my true belief. I'm not just saying it to blow smoke. It is truly your brain's belief. So if I say, give me a lock, give me an unlock, I might actually say, give me an unlock for what I need to correct first. So then I might go, over the chakras. Oh, actually, that's interesting. It's my throat chakra. So I might actually do something like that. So that then, I've said, because I'm so ADHD, I have to sort of reset it all the time. Sometimes it's different in my brain. My muscle testing is not the same all the time when I am doing self-muscle testing. It's just not.
Yeah.
Because I can easily swap from one to the other, without a problem.
Yeah.
Both an unlock or a lock being the opposite meaning, depending on my terminology.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and that's probably because my teachers, all had such varying belief systems about muscle testing. I was really lucky to get lots of input on that. So, and because context is so important, absolutely. Yeah.
Beautiful.
But yeah, so with the chakras, would be interesting. Can you quickly check through your major 7 chakras and see which one is showing up, Denise, just out of curiosity? Sort of thinking about that Moro.
Yeah. So what am I asking? I'm asking about.
So
what's unlocked.
Yeah. So if it
what's balanced and what's not.
Yes, you're asking for the unbalanced chakras.
It's actually my crown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the crown, of course, connection to source, connection to higher self, The Moro reflex is one of the most grounding primitive reflexes that we have. So the more active a Moro is, the less connection we have to source.
Okay. Oh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that will make sense if you really need to do some, just waking that up each day.
Okay. And that's with doing all that stuff and then just.
Yeah. And just wait, because we need to say it's okay. And then do your Moro exercise, check it again, see if it's thrown it again. Just keep bringing it back into balance.
Okay.
So because you can use that lock or unlock, give me a yes, give me a no. Do I need to do the celestial circuit? So when you've got your yes, no, do I need to do my ear furling? Do I need to do my brain buttons? So then you can sort of, with a yes, no answer, you can make it nice and easy for yourself.
Okay. Yeah.
So that whatever it is you're doing, you can be in control. And plus, if you're checking it a few times a day because you're feeling so discombobulated, then you can just keep on checking. What do I need now?
Yeah.
It's like the anyway, no, I won't go there. The bioresonance I use. I was going to say you can actually do this morning, lunch, nighttime thing, and it gives you different frequencies, and if you've got all your supplements in it, tells you which supplements to have. And I sort of do it. I've got like a whole shelf full of supplements. Yay, Alice, welcome. So when, I've got a whole bunch of supplements. So when I'm not feeling lazy, I'll actually go, is there anything on the first shelf? Is there anything on the second shelf? Oh, there is. Okay, where is it? So that I
even do that with taking my tablets. I'll test to see how many I need for today. Yeah.
Because, there's no, and today is an interesting question. So do you take them more than once? It would be interesting for you to check at breakfast, check at lunchtime, check at dinner. Absolutely. Just for curiosity. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
So the Moro reflex there. I'm so glad you got discombobulated by that, because because it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon. And it is, but it's so powerful. That's why I love it so much. It's like once again, my friend Linda, so she totally fell apart during because she hadn't done it for however long, and then she did it and we hadn't balanced her to it. She wasn't prepared to be balanced to it. She didn't even think of doing it herself because her body went straight into survival stuff. So she didn't even think about all the stuff she'd known for the last couple of years that she'd learned that she could do to pick up her own energy, because her body went straight into that Moro reflex exercise energy.
Okay. So when I do the Moro, then balance.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. See what you need
all
to
the
do.
Other stuff balance that. Yeah.
Make a little list of everything that we've got in our little hierarchy this year, this week, and just sort of go, okay, what do I need to do? And it might be a different thing every time you do it, which is fine too, because we want your brain to be balanced to the Moro reflex. We want you to be able to release it without any trauma. Okay. Because I did have another lady, like actually Linda again. So when she went back the second time to New Zealand, and this woman came to see her, and she basically, it was like she said, this is my life. And Linda went, oh my God, you've got a Moro reflex. She pulled out a handout on the Moro reflex and she said, yes, this handout was written for me. She was like, everything on this reflex. And Linda gave her the exercise to do. This might have been the first time, not the second time. And the woman did the exercise for a couple of days and she ended up in a fetal position for 3 months. Now, she happened to be gay, which is neither here nor there, but Linda ran into her and her partner, and the girlfriend refused to let Linda talk to her. She says she ended up in bed for 3 months. Linda said, why didn't you ring me?
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's powerful. Like the whole point is, this is a sort of grunty technique that if we, even if we need to run our central meridians 10 times a day, keep on holding those emotional stress release points. Yeah. Whatever easy things we can do to keep bringing ourselves back into balance when we're feeling scattered and discombobulated. So, it's sort of that, that central meridian, the ESRs, those little centering mechanisms, the kidney 27s underneath the collarbone, holding those little points. The tailbone, the base of the tailbone and the belly button, and the ones top and bottom of the lips.
Mm.
You know, so once again, because the Moro, what it's trying to do is take all your energy away from everywhere else in your brain and bring it down here to the Moro. That's what it's doing. So the act of lying on our back and doing the Moro reflex exercise, while you're doing it, your brain's going, holy crap, what the hell is she doing? It goes to that little part of the brain that stores the energy of where the Moro lives, and it's supposed to come back again. But when it doesn't, you know, it's gotten stored in there.
Oh, I like that. I like that it will come back then.
Yeah, oh, will absolutely come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, don't stress about that. And every time you do something to bring your back into balance, you're creating new pathways.
Okay. Beautiful. Thank you.
Now Alice has said, it's curious to me that the microcosmic circuit runs down the front, but the central meridian runs up. What do you make of that? Well, that is exactly why. Let's go and have a look at that screen, that little picture. So that's exactly why Charles Krebs asked about it. And I actually think this isn't quite right, because the way that he's got it going is coming up the yang at the spine and coming down the front. That's not quite how that little breathing thing happens. So with our celestial circuit, and I think that's just a mistake of someone who was trying to make something cool, but it wasn't quite there. But Charles's question to the Buddhist monk was, how come the central meridian goes up if it's a yin organ? Because all yin meridians run from the feet, the torso, or the torso to the fingers. They run from Mother Earth to Father Sun. The yang organs run from Father Sun, so from the fingers to the torso, or from the torso to the feet. So yin yang, yin yang. Now, yes, so the celestial circuit, so his question to the Buddhist monk was, well, why is this one going up, and why does the governing meridian start at the tailbone, come up over the spine? Why does it go up as well if it's yang? And the Buddhist monk says, that's because there's points that we don't needle on the inside of the body. So his understanding was that the celestial circuit runs from the pubic bone up to the chin, goes inside the mouth, goes down on the inside of the body, down to the tailbone, then back up the spine again, over the head to the inside of the mouth, inside the body, down. It's actually not the pubic bone. It's that area they cut when we have babies, where they do the episiotomy. So it's actually central one is way down in there. So we don't need to do that. But, you know, so basically ends up being this little figure eight energy. But absolutely, you know, so the yin energy is going up, the yang energy is going down inside the body, the yin energy is coming up on the spine, and the yang energy is going down inside the body.
So why do we just do then just the up?
Because that's specifically the central meridian. So that one feeds the conscious brain for the central meridian. Okay. So that's when we want to add energy. You know, the whole, you know, my practitioner, my friend who asked her workers, she wouldn't let them complain to her unless they had their hand on their forehead and ran their central meridian simultaneously. So they would have to come into her office and say, my computer isn't working, and yada, 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 yada. She would just make them do that. And I had another lady, she was living with her mother-in-law. So hers was like serenity now, serenity now. So yeah. But yeah, so that's very specifically feeding the conscious brain. And because the Moro reflex does live back here, like that's where it lives. So when we're doing this little guy as well, you know, that's really supporting things too. So getting those pathways, we're just supporting the Moro reflex get activated out of our nervous system.
Beautiful. Thank you.
There was a little visual as well that I sort of found for the eyes. We did something on the eyes in the last couple of days. So I found a visual. Oops. Oh, I did the little, I did this one on Teddy this morning, which was sort of funny. And then because I was saying to him what would happen if it was out, because of course he wants me to video him because he's that kid now. Anyway, so then afterwards he just starts wiggling his butt. So now I've got no idea whether he had a spinal gland or not. It was pretty amusing to me. Oh, where's the visuals? Oh, this one. Yeah. So basically, you know, so then thinking about whether we're seeing in the world, what are we seeing? How are we putting ourselves out there to the world? But when we're also holding our hand at the back of the head, very specifically behind the head are our visual centers. So a little bit up, you know, from the base of the skull. So these little centers on the right that are the green and red centers. Are they green and red? Yeah. So these little bits behind the skull, they're our visual centers. So basically, when we're looking at the world, this isn't where we're looking. We're looking back here. And there's all these little centers that pass through the optic chiasm. And, you know, so some of the pathways go upside down and back to front, and ones go to the front and the back.
Balance the body, energy, stress, all sorts.
Which one, what?
Well, I'm going to make myself a cup of tea and have a biscuit on for starting.
Oh,
Yeah, so with the visual centers, one of the things is that also anything we're doing, if we can't see results, which seems like a weird thing. So we don't want, once again, thinking about the Moro reflex, because it's such an amazing tool, but we don't want your brain to stress out about it. We don't. So you could also just occasionally pop your hand at the back of the head with the forehead as well. So that way we're saying, okay, conscious brain, I know we're going to be seeing some crap going on in the near future because I'm doing this cool thing for my unconscious brain, but you're asking your visual centers then to see the results. And then imagine your brain, because once again, imagination is amazing for the brain. It creates neural pathways as well. So then if you start to, so basically just above the eyeballs, you know, so our ESRs, it's also the second chakra, of course. But, you know, so when we're doing that, we're doing so much more. We're bringing all of this blood supply to the frontal cortex. But, yeah, so combining it with those visual centers might actually be helpful as well. And then when we're doing things like, and I think we mentioned the eye pathways, because how many people have just got sore eyes, tired eyes these days? So when we're rubbing the kidney 27s and we're using our eyes simultaneously, you know, we can look to the left, look a little bit further, look to the right, look a little bit further. And that way we're sort of stretching our eyes. And it's even better if we do it with the breath. You know, sort of that exhalation really helping that parasympathetic nervous system just to come online and be a bit more calm. But with the, you know, up and down, so the eyes looking up, you could do these ones because these are top and bottom. And looking down. You know, is there a direction that you find yourself not looking all the time because the brain wants to avoid it? Like sometimes when you start playing around with your eyes, you find a direction that's really tender, really sensitive. Yeah, right. Do I breathe in as the awareness ascends up the back and breathe out as it descends? I've never done that, but I can imagine anything that is any conscious breath is going to be better than unconscious breath. I'm nearly always talking through these processes with people. And when I'm re-stretching hypertonic muscles, so hypertonic muscles are muscles that are too tight. So it's sort of interesting that that just happens to be, where is it? Let me show you their hypertonic muscles again. Because hyper and hypo is one of those things that people get confused about. Hyper is too much. Hypo is not enough. So basically, you know, so hypertonic, it's two-toned. There's too much energy in it. It's actually the spindle cells have told the muscle that everything needs to be tight. Whereas hypotonia, it's the floppy. And they're actually, like I used to see floppy kid syndrome. I don't know what was going on, whether there was a particular medication that messed with kids. But, you know, for a little while, I actually met a few kids who were quite hypotonic. Have you ever met anyone who's sort of in that? You can imagine their nervous system, it's not switched on. You know, they're just not getting that peripheral nervous system sending the energy to their extremities. So anything we can do with their brains, anything we can do with their spines, anything we can do with their limbs to wake it all up. And, you know, when we're starting to play around with this stuff, You can even just do things like, sorry, I'll get back to me again. You can even just do that. And I do this once again, and I do it all the time with my clients. I'll grab the arm and I'll just sort of give it a wiggle and a shake. And then I'll sort of go and do some little corrections. So it's about activating whatever it is we want to help. So if someone's legs are sore, you can, and they're lying down, you can just hold the feet and just give them a wiggle. Activate the neurons, activate the little points wherever it is we want to help.
Can I just ask a question with the neural pathways?
Yes.
Is that standard kinesiology, or is that part of the Charles Krebs that you're mentioning? So, because I've been doing a lot of that with this neuro whatever. So I just wondered, is that standard kinesiology stuff?
No. Well, once again, it depends where the training is coming from. There's certainly more neurology in LEAP, as far as I know, than any other kinesiology course. So, and those pathways that Charles actually visualized in hospital so that he walked out 9 months later, that was because he was an anatomy and physiology guy at Harvard.
Yeah. No, I was just interested, just for my own interest, to know.
Yeah.
Because, I'm just.
I think, what's his name? There's a guy just over the border, Murwillumbah area, who has some neurology stuff. I have never done any of his work. For whatever reason, it just never quite, I just never felt the need, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
He might have some more, but I think most of his stuff, there's quite a huge lead up to that. But certainly Jackie Mooney, the full LEAP course is available online. My practitioner excellence will cover my favorite bits of it. So the bits that I use all day, every day is in my signature.
Hey there, do you mind if I speak?
Go for it.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
There's a very, very good chiropractor. He's probably the smartest man I've ever met in my life. He is also in Murwillumbah, and he does the retained neonatal reflexes. I think he's other chiropractor there as well. A positive chiropractic. So if anyone needs to, have a child really well taken care of, he'll run through all of those reflexes and test for all of them. And he does a process over, I think it's over 12 weeks, where you have one appointment a week, and he only charges what the care plans that you can get for chiropractic. He only charges that same amount, so it's essentially free to go and see him and do those. Yeah, so positive chiropractic. Can't remember his name at the moment, but
and where's he? Byron Bay?
No, Murwillumbah.
Murwillumbah.
Yeah, I thought maybe that was the person you were referring to when you were talking about.
No. I know.
Anyway, for anyone who's there, I'll just get off again. It's a bit noisy here. There's a retro festival here, so everyone's all dressed retro. There's like hundreds and hundreds of thousands, maybe, of retro dressed people. I'll get off.
Cool. Yeah. So with so the NOT. So again, NOT, neural organizational technique. That's a technique that I've been doing for 25 years, and I sort of have morphed it. So it's my morphing that people get in the signature system. So the way that I use it, that I know that works, and I've sort of eliminated some of the stuff that I just find just hardly ever shows up, or I've got other skills that help to wire things faster. So I think that's sort of where people are at. But the information in LEAP, if people really want that fantastic neurology, then going through the LEAP process with Jackie online is amazing. It is. It's about fine tuning. And I sort of find that when we're working with anything, it depends where our energy is with kinesiology. Some people would hate to work the way that I work. I love the way that I work. I couldn't work another way. In fact, I might have told you this story, but I had a lady come in and see me recently, and she was really badly damaged by something in the last couple of years. And basically her neurology was so stressed that she could not cope with any noise. So I would literally have to whisper to her, and even whispering hurt her brain. She was so sensitive. And anyway, at the end of the first session, I had to say, I don't think I'm the practitioner for you. And I felt depressed. I felt fully depressed, not working. in the way that I work. It just felt so foreign and so unlike me, and I never want to do it again. Anyway, she came back to me 6 weeks later, and it had all sorted, you know, because I'd taken her through the survival stuff. I'd calmed her adrenaline down. I got her body, this immune system, looking at things that she had not wanted to look at. And I didn't even tell her what I was doing because she didn't want to know. So I just got her body, you know, recognizing and accepting some substances. So, you know, when you don't have to tell people what you're working on. If they just want the result and they don't want to know what you're doing, you can just sort of do it, calm it down, allow them just to feel better. Yeah. Because you do some energetic healing, Denise, already?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, energetic healing. It's like working with the energetic bodies, but also speaking into the trauma or the pain on the mental, physical, and emotional. So I find I go straight to the core. I don't mess around. We go straight to the core and unravel that, and then that helps start to unravel the rest. But I don't leave them in the discomfort. We come out in pleasure. So which is beautiful.
Yeah.
So, and I use a small amount of kinesiology, but this is really like, I can see how I can use this as well. So, but find great results, and it just changes people's lives like kinesiology does. So it's totally puts me up. So
Yeah, and I've sort of seen that over the years, and I think this is one of the dangers, you know, with so I've known a couple of weird things happen over the years, just sort of thinking about where things go a little bit haywire. So one of my kinesiology friends from a million years ago, she did a birthing class. And after the birthing class, she was in bed for 3 months in a fetal position. So totally different person, different story. But obviously the birthing must have activated something like her Moro reflex. You know, and it was not settled by the time she left the class. And it was sort of interesting because when we were chatting about it, I said, well, did the teacher ever get back to you? And there was no follow-up. There was no follow-up. So she went traumatized. She stayed traumatized for 3 months. And I had another lady who's a local kinesiologist, and she took a person through these past lives. So that was her skill, finding people's past lives. She went through 4 past lives in an hour that were all horrific, where she had died. You know, one she was abused by her father, another one she got hit by a truck, another, you know, it was just like 4 past lives, but there was no balance after it. So to me, that was more like, that's a practitioner's gift, but hey, bring the person back into their body at the end, bring them back into the positivity of the now. So when I met that woman, she was having panic attacks all day, every day.
Yeah, it's like the body keeps reliving it.
Oh my goodness. And then she tells me the past lives, and I said, and I knew this practitioner, and I said to her, did she tell you to do ESRs? Did she give you some flower essences? Did she tell you to run your central meridian? Did she give you some brain buttons to do? There'd been nothing. So we really have to, if we're going to work with big stuff like the Moro, which I think is brilliant, you know, it's still worth saying, okay, you know, I'm going to check in with you, you know, just see how you're doing every day, you know, and if we need to, okay, this is what I want you to do. Get on a messenger thing, you know, get the video going so that you can say, this is what I want you to do. And I want you to
always messaging in between, you know. And it's really interesting because you become quite intuitive, and when clients pop in, which I call they pop in, I ring them. I say, hey, you just popped in today, so I'm feeling there's something going on, which usually is. So which is really cool.
Which is
but it's an ongoing bring them back into balance, into themselves, and then keep the checkups.
Exactly. So so like I say, I am so happy that you had that discombobulation with the Moro, because it really did allow an important conversation, because I don't want people to be scared. We've got enough tools this week to bring us back into balance. So don't be scared of it.
No, I'm not scared of it. I think the only thing I like, because obviously it brings things up, and there's obviously the fear it brings up and whatever else, you know, it's finding, are they attached to anything, or is it just a conglomerate of a lot of things that has happened over a lot of years?
Yeah.
And my
Oh,
body's
well,
wary.
yeah. So it will, if your Moro, it depends where your Moro has been. So well, like we said yesterday, there's a bell curve to the Moro. So if your bell curve was nearly at the top and it had never made it there and it's on its way back, things are going to get hairy.
Okay.
They're going to get hairy before coming down again.
Beautiful.
Do you have any idea what your birth was like, Denise?
No, but I know my first, like, I got run over when I was 2. So there's a lot of, yeah. I've never, you know, safety was a big thing for me. So yeah, always has been. Yeah.
First and foremost, the Moro reflex is all about safety.
Yes.
First and foremost.
Yes.
So yeah, in kinesiology foundations, one of the first things I do, I think it's in the second or third session, I make sure that a muscle test is a muscle test is a muscle test. So we know when a muscle test is locked and balanced, or whether it's unlocked and in chronic fatigue. So, you know, it can, or if it's locked, is it in second stage stress? So there's these 3 layers of stress that if we don't know that and we're getting a lock or an unlock, once again, depending on our context of our muscle testing. So I make sure that right from the start, I'm going, is that an unlock, or is that, you know, so which is it? You know, because you know, your body can be absolutely telling you. You might say, do I need to do my Moro reflex today? And it might say no. That Moro reflex might be because of psychological reversal, where your brain's going, don't you damn do that. You know, you're releasing trauma. I want to keep that trauma. That trauma is keeping me safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I think, and that's the power, once again, as we build a bit more skill with muscle testing, man, the universe is our oyster.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so people don't even have to talk on the table. You know, you can ask the questions. You can get first, second, third layers of stress. You can get psychological reversals. You can access deeper stuff than what they can consciously know once you know how to get into the subconscious and unconscious brain. You know, so there's so much cool stuff out there. And I think that's why, you know, I've been doing this for so long. That's why I go straight into the neurology of the brain and the adrenals. And, you know, it's why I love that stuff, because it underpins everything else.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so one of my older gentlemen who I mentioned, you know, he was traumatized as a baby. So he's had his adrenals exhausted his whole life. He's never had a good adrenal system, because why would his unconscious brain give him lots of good energy to go out there into the world with? Why would it do that? So yes, go out there and be abused. Have plenty of energy. Hang around lots of people. They're safe. That's not what his brain told him. His brain said, stay in bed, don't get out, keep your, you know, your little vista as close as possible, as close as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll just, where is my, goodness me. Yeah, so with yesterday as well, I sort of, these little guys, remember we were chatting about the Broca's, Wernicke's, auditory, you know, just sort of pulsing those. And someone asked what else is around there. So I just sort of grabbed that little chart to give us a bit of an idea about all of the things that go on in that part, you know, along the sides, the main areas. Obviously, everything is connected. Everything connects to everywhere else. But when we do certain things under whatever scans they do, these are the areas that light up the most. And of course, with our visual centers, don't forget that, you know, that area behind the head. So if that area is not working properly, and I've never done it. I'm just sort of wondering if we could do a similar thing with ESRs at the back of the head. Anyway, I've never done that before. I've only ever done it with the whole hand. And as a general rule, I stack that in order to access it. But yeah, sort of interesting. Alice made that comment about the ear reflexology, you know, and how many areas are connected. And one of the guys this morning in my Kinesiology Foundations course, he spent a whole hour going back to the ear, you know, working it out and then going off and doing other things. And this, I think this was a tinnitus client. So he could have sort of kept muscle testing, where he had to go next, stacking it in, and then he'd go off and do something else. And so really cool. I've never thought of doing that with the ear reflexology points. So once again, the more consistently good we get at kinesiology, the more into that unconscious perfection we get, the more we can just bloody well check anything, and just get it happening. Yeah, so if you can think it, you can test it. Haha, look at that. I put things up the top, left, right, up, down, front, back. Getting those little connections happening. Yeah, but my signature system that starts in 2024, so very much it's a bit of everything. It is sort of working etheric balancing and distance balancing. It's about, working with the mind, working with the spirit, working with the heart, lots of connections from all over the place, really working through those sort of, as we get more and more understanding, the more we can do with clients, the more we can take them to places where their brain hasn't allowed them to be. We talk through a lot of disease states, a lot of systems of the body, a lot of pathways of the body and conditions. So it's going to be big. It's going to be cool. Anyway, that's next year. But the next one that does start in August is my Kinesiology Foundations. So it's 7 weeks, 2 sessions a week. Each one's about an hour, quarter to an hour and a half. And all of the videos, of course, are uploaded into the private group. So you can just watch them. For the people who want to, as anyone who joins, you can actually go, shit, that was a really good technique. On about 10 minutes in on day 2, so you can send me a message saying, hey, can you cut and paste that? Can you cut from 3 minutes to about 15 minutes? And I can do that. I can go in and cut that, make that a little video that you can just watch over and over again to get a technique online. But it's a really cool way. It's a way, again, of connecting our tribe, of allowing us to build those skills together so that we can just get that kinesiology. And I just want really good little people out there on the planet, who are doing really cool balances. So where are we? Yeah. So I think, so with those little visual centers, keep those up this week. For anyone who's been doing the Moro reflex exercise, just keep bringing yourself back into balance. Don't forget, do you remember what the celestial circuit is, Denise? Do you remember how to do that one? That's the central meridian. The celestial circuit is the one where we have our tongue on the roof of the mouth and our hand on the base chakra. And if you want to touch the dantian, 2 inches below your belly button, touch that at the same time. And then visualize all of your energy around your body coming back into that dantian, so that you're bringing your center of balance back into your dantian, and just really breathe into that point, and then allow that expansion of energy. But with breath, like Alice asked before, when we're breathing in, we're activating sympathetic energy. When we're breathing out, we're activating parasympathetic. So we just want to get that really lovely balance of sympathetic to parasympathetic. And we've all heard of the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve is one of these things where everyone's talking about the vagus nerve these days. Yeah. And it's just something that, like, for a start, the old ear furling, it's one of the little hacks for the vagus nerve, because it helps to get us out of our gut nervous system and back into our brain. You can actually, there's another weird little one. You put your fingers in the ears and you just really get in there and massage the inside of the ears. And actually, I wonder, now that I think about that, because I've heard about that one for a few years, I'm wondering where in the ears that is activating. So stomach, the vagus nerve. Yeah, right. People feel nauseous when their vagus nerve is activated. So look in there in the inside, so it's the stomach first and foremost. The trachea, the esophagus. Yeah, right. So that whole little area, gets, so that's sort of interesting, because I knew that as a little hack, and not many people want to do it because, we're playing with our ear, but that's another little hack to get that vagus nerve system up and running.
I have to cut my fingernails.
I know, I was thinking the same thing. I don't want to go too far. And some people have really narrow eustachian tubes as well. So some people will have to be more sensitive than others. But that's such a cool little chart, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the more we know, I just think generally, the more we know, the more we can see stuff in others. It was sort of like talking about that, you know, the bones in here. So when our balance is out of whack, when everything's really jammed, you know, our eyes can be out of balance. And once you're aware of that, sometimes you'll be looking at someone who's stressed and you see their eyes a little bit out of balance. And, you know, sort of from a perspective of beauty, you know, they always say that people are the most beautiful who aren't perfectly symmetrical. But I'm not sure if that's true, because recently they've started doing AI faces and actually sharing them out there in the internet. And apparently 70 to 80% of people trust an AI face that has no human being behind it than a human face. How crappy is that that's the world we're living in at the moment? Wow. I just find that bizarre and, you know, and I imagine that's got to be the younger generation. You know, they just see whatever that is as trust. And I just look at it and go, what are you thinking? But that's just me. So, yeah. So any last questions before we roll off today? Or last comments?
So it's been great. Thank you. It's been
awesome.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
now, sorry. With the program that's coming up, you said it's the 7-week.
Yes.
Is that what's like what we've been doing? Is that part of it as well?
No. It's all new stuff.
Oh, it's an intro, is it?
Oh, it's a lot more than well, I call it Kinesiology Foundations, but this is my selfish way of saying this is what I want people to know, because it's my favorite stuff I do on people all day, every day. But it's what people need to be able to do my signature system. And I know you're probably not there, and that's fine. But these are the chunky things that I know make huge changes on people all day, every day in my clinic. We go into more depth in my signature system without a doubt, but, you know, there's a whole bunch of hypertonic muscles. There's a whole bunch of ways of assessing the body for how it's looking structurally. And there's ways of checking it after balancing to see if that's shifted. There's a whole bunch of big muscle tests that allow you to find different energy in different organs. There's a whole bunch of, we go through chakras quite specifically, but basically it's a process where I give say 20 really cool techniques that are quite chunky, that mix and match with every person that you'll get on the table. I teach how I stack, my stacking process, which is about storing information so that everything you're doing is balancing so much more. So it's my Kinesiology Foundations, which is from every course I've ever done. And obviously it's my naturopathic as well in there. And that's why I've sort of, because nothing else does it. You know, if I was to teach, say, straight touch for health, my thing would be I would have to teach that. If I was teaching LEAP, I would have to teach that. So teachers don't have the luxury of teaching any of their stuff outside that scope.
Okay.
So yeah, it's awesome. You know, there is so much good skill in there. But so yes, what I would say is it's not a basic kinesiology course.
Okay.
It's Kinesiology Foundations with some awesome tools that you will have up your sleeve.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So is that a place to start, or?
Oh yeah, definitely. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Yeah. Because when, for example, with Touch for Health, which is considered a basic kinesiology course, they don't even touch on hypertonic muscles until Touch for Health 3, so about 30 hours in, for example. Whereas if you've got someone on the table who you can't muscle test, they're going to be hypertonic. So if you don't know they're hypertonic, you can't do anything about that. So I was a year into muscle testing before I could muscle test my husband, because he was hypertonic and I didn't know that. So he had some muscles that were too tight and some muscles that were too relaxed. So the very first test I did, when I learned my very first hypertonic thing, I got an unlock I had never got an unlock on him before. It was a year of frustration. So I know what I've been frustrated about. And because you get the videos, you can just rewatch those things that are going, what's she saying there? You know, and because it's coaching, you know, we've got that group, that tribe, you know, with our Kinesiology Foundation's private Facebook group. So you can ask questions in there. You know, there's a whole brain trust in there of people who say, oh, shit, I used to have that technique and I used to do this and this and this, but then I added this and it was so much better. So, you know, it's building a brain trust, you know, of people at the same level.
Mm.
But coming from different backgrounds, so you're getting different perspectives all the time.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I've come from a few different things. So, yeah, it's just a matter of how it works within.
Yeah. And because it's videoed each week, because in this group, we've got people from Ireland, England, Canada, the States, and Australia in the current group. So some of them wake up and they watch the videos, or whenever I get them uploaded, you know, they get to watch them afterwards. So it's there, you know, and because some practitioners, again, they don't allow questions. They say, don't ask questions till the end of the class. Now, I'm ADHD. If I wait till the end of the class, I've forgotten my damn question. Makes no sense at the end.
Yeah.
For me. So therefore, like I love the interaction. You know, once again, that's part of what I love about it, you know, because once again, if I'm thinking it as a question, someone else is thinking it as a question.
Yeah, so true.
And just that clarification, I want everyone to get it as they're going along. So I don't want anyone sitting there thinking, I'm not getting this. I need someone to say that, and then I'll say it in another way or give another example. So once again, then with that video, you can go back and watch that little bit and go, now I get it.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, gorgeous people, well done. And I hope you've got some really neat tools to go away with. I sort of feel like I know the primitive reflex stuff, obviously I love it. I love the brain buttons. I love the celestial circuit. So I just love sharing stuff that can make a difference. Can't it, Denise? It can make a difference. So well done, everyone. And I'll get this uploaded tonight and then I'll share it into our group. So well done. And the competition sort of, you know, get in there, do your little things, and someone gets a freebie with me. Find out over the weekend. Okay, take care. Mwah.
Thank
you. Okay, bye.